Hey everyone, welcome back to Buzzing About Romance Happy Hour Edition. Super excited to be here tonight, celebrating one of my most favorite people. And joining me as co-host for this episode is podcast contributor Heather. She is our hockey guru, and you might also know her as Minnesota Hockey Mom Reads on Instagram. Hi, Heather.
Yeah. Hi, ladies.
Um, Leah's not available this evening, so I was like, Heather, we're going to talk to Danica. She's like, okay. I'm in. So tonight we're celebrating author Danica Flynn and her latest release, Accidentally in Love. It just released on Tuesday. It is so very good. It's so cute. I can't wait to chit chat with you about it. Heather, do you have your document up? Can you read Danica's bio?
So Danica Flynn is a marketer by day and a writer by nights and weekends, aka she does not sleep. She's a rabid hockey fan of both the Philadelphia Flyers and the Metropolitan Riveters. When she's not writing, she can be found hanging out with her partner, playing video games, and reading a ton of books. A ton of books, Danica.
You read 2 last month, Danica.
I know.
2 last month. Yeah, my reading has not been.
It's okay.
We'll forgive you because we want the books to come out at a more rapid pace. I know, it's not your fault.
Stupid day job. Hi, Tanya. Okay, rules of the night for those that have not joined us before. You can ask all the questions in the chat and we'll do our best to answer them. In the description of the video are links to all the places to connect with Danica. I will also be putting them in the chat. If you follow, like, and subscribe at the end of the night, one lucky person will be winning a swag-filled box from us. But Danica also has a signed paperback up for grabs. And sorry, Heather, you can't win.
Oh, that's fine.
I put together a little holiday care package since this is kind of a Christmas romance. I have warm, fuzzy reindeer slipper socks, a Starbucks cup, chocolate-covered pretzels from a local confectionery store that I just love, and then a beard zipper pouch.
I love it.
Money can't buy beards. Trust the beard, respect the beard, be the beard. when a mustache just isn't enough. I love this. Anyway, it came in a book box, actually, and as soon as I saw it, I was like, I'm going to need 5 more of those for all of my beard-loving friends. So hi, Gretchen. Hi, Emily. So we had to make sure that we got a beard love for this book in particular because that cover with his big bushy beard on it is perfect. So let's kick this off in the traditional bees way. Danica, tell us what you're drinking tonight.
Okay, so I am drinking, it's called Opposing Bookends. It's an oatmeal stout. It's by Neshaminy Creek Brewery. I specifically picked this beer because Neshaminy Creek Brewery used to have a brew pub in my town, and they had to sell the building once COVID happened, but they were the inspiration for the McGregor's Brother Brewing Company. So, and they were I dedicated the book to them too. So
have they been able to reopen since?
So their brewery was fine. Their brewery is in Croydon. So it's in a separate town. So this was just a brew pub that they had opened as another location. So, and they have a tap room in another town, and they just opened this new place, where I grew up. It's called the Station, and there's a bunch of different little market type stuff. So they just opened another thing. So they're totally fine. But they had bought this building, and in the town I live in, that actually there was, when we moved here, there was another brewery there, and they did run out of all of their money. And then Neshaminy just bought the building and just started a brew pub there. I was really bummed because I loved it there. But the brewery is fine. They're still up and running. They just had to get rid of that one location, unfortunately.
Yeah, I love our local brewery. Pre-COVID, we used to go there all the time to play games and sit and day drink. We haven't quite gotten back there yet, but we're getting closer. We have eaten out occasionally, but I'm a germaphobe and you know how it goes.
I mean, it's harder for you, so I understand. Like,
Yeah. Heather, what are you drinking?
Well, I have lots of like day job things that suck that I have to do after this. So I am actually drinking, it's called Liftbridge. It's a brewery here in Minnesota, but this is their soda. So it's black cherry. Liftbridge, it's in Stillwater. If you're ever in Minnesota, I highly recommend Stillwater. It's super duper cute.
Nice. I like small craft sodas. We get one from Michigan often that I like to drink. Anyway, welcome everybody. I see Gretchen is with us and Olivia B and Susie's here. So thanks for joining us, guys. In the chat,
Olivia is one of my author friends.
Oh, is it?
I'm pretty sure.
She
actually helped me with some of the beer names.
Oh, awesome.
I'm pretty sure that's who that is.
In the chat, I put Danica. Oh, my mother is here too. Because it's not officially happy hour till Lynn shows.
Oh, your mom should that.
Danica's newsletter link is in the chat. If you guys haven't signed up for her newsletter, make sure that you do that. Olivia says, yes, she is your author friend.
Yes.
And Skate for Greatness is here also. Thank you for joining us. I don't know who all these people are, but I'm so excited they came to hang out with us.
I've been like blasting like it on Twitter and stuff. So.
I love it. No.
Yeah. No, Olivia
so
had like messaged me and she's like, do you have events coming up? And I was like, well, I have this YouTube thing if you like want to watch it.
I love it. And actually earlier today, I think Kelly Jameson retweeted our happy hour thing too. So, you know, she's so sweet. So like I said, Danica's newsletter is in the chat. If you haven't signed up, make sure you signed up for that. For any of you who are new to Danica, let's get to know her a bit. Danica is actually one of the very first Bookstagram friends I made. And she was one of the first authors that trusted me to beta read for her. And so I feel Michael said something. I was like, listen, she's mine. She is my people. I am very protective of her. So, okay, Danica, what inspired you to write romance? Tell us a little bit about your author journey.
Okay, so you guys are getting tired of me telling you this, but people
we love
know.
It.
So I never really intended to write steamy romance. I was in the query trenches for a long time for YA romance, which is very chaste. There's some kissing. There wasn't a lot. And I didn't write dual point of view. It was singular point of view, but it was still first person and still in like my in like past tense. So I was still writing the same way. It just kind of changed up how I was writing. I quit writing for like several years. I was trying to figure out my career. I was doing sports journalism. I was working on the sports desk. So I kind of quit writing for a couple of years. And then like my partner was having struggles with his job, and we kind of were both like in a weird place with our careers. So I started writing again. I started trying to query that book again. It's really hard to find comps for YA hockey romance. There is not a lot. And you know, the publisher that mostly publishes them is Entangled Teen. That's like most of the comps I was finding. And then like someone had recommended, I think, Kelly Jamison's Game On. And I had a lot of misconceptions about like romance because I like kind of had this assumption that it was all historical romance, and that's just like not my thing. So I kind of just like always like shied away from it, which I was actually talking with a friend about like how I was being weird about it because I like would read a lot of fan fiction that was very detailed. So I didn't know why I was being weird about it. And she's like, yeah, you're right. Like, that's true. And I was like, but I didn't know there was like hockey romance. So, and I like hockey. So I think finding like Kelly and Helena Hunting were good ones to come in, because I've definitely read ones where they have no business writing hockey romance, but those two are pretty good. But like, yeah, it slowly started, like I was starting to read them. I was still writing the other book. And then I watched a Flyers game and Nolan Patrick was being interviewed, and I was like, he's really cute. but whoa, he's really young. And that is what inspired Take the Shot, because Noah is 22 and Dinah is 30. So there's a little bit of an age gap, but not like too much. But so that inspired the book. I did not think I was going to publish it at all. I had no aspirations to publish it. I wrote it for like a Camp Nano or something. And I was like, okay, like that was a fun experiment. I'll go back to this YA thing I was working on. But Fiona and Riley had shown up in the book and were very demanding and would not like leave me alone. So I wrote their book too. And then Roxanne and Benny were like getting annoying. I was like, oh, okay. Like, so I wrote their book too. And then I wrote a fourth book that I actually shelved, but I had 4 books. And I was like, I have a series, but I wasn't really sure what to do. And I definitely had misconceptions about like self-publishing and like wanting to be traditional published. But my friend from work who actually beta reads for me, he was like, it's still publishing. It's still like, you still are doing it. So there shouldn't be, I don't know why you're being weird about it. And I was like, okay. Cause I had asked him the reason why he beta reads for me, because I knew he had a friend who was self-publishing. So I started to like ask him like, oh, what is he doing? Like, does he have an editor? Like, what is he doing? And he's like, you seem more prepared than my friend who is doing this. And I was like, I just did a quick Google search. Like, I don't know. Like, I was like, what, how do you self-publish? How do we do this? So I like figured it out. But yeah, before I even published the first book, I had 4 books written. So I kind of knew where the series was going to go. So I knew I had a series, even though I haven't finished writing it yet, but I'll have a good chunk done. So that's how I started writing romance. Like, it was weird. I didn't expect it to ever happen, but it feels like where I'm supposed to be now.
It is where you're supposed to be. And Heather would like to know how you have 4 books and she's only gotten to read 2. 3 now, I guess.
That is the exact things that were going through my head.
I draft really fast, but then I like set it down for a while, and like I wrote this new series to avoid dealing with a book that I didn't want to deal with. Like, I literally was like,
my friend this, like, who doesn't, like, she's like trying to wrap her head around this whole Bookstagram thing and all that. And I was like, oh, so my friend is an author and she wrote the series, but this one book is giving her a hard time. So instead of like, focusing on that, she just wrote another series. And then she's like, what? I'm like, it makes sense to me. I don't know why it doesn't make sense to you.
Well,
and I'm like, I need her to continue with the McGregor brothers because, we need them.
There will only be 3 books, but I've already written them. I can't tell you when the next one's coming out. I'm hoping maybe this summer, but I don't have an editor. So
Susie says, where are 3 and 4? She's like, 3 comes out in March, Susie. Against the boards.
Yeah, I have a date in mind for the 4th book, but that originally was book 5. And then what happened is I shelved a book and it kind of threw everything off.
That's okay. You can always come back to it.
I don't think I can. Like,
okay. There's no rules. I mean, we don't know, right?
No, I mean, there was definitely a seed in the beta read that Becky did for Score Her Heart, but it was not in the arc or anything. So I took that out because I knew I was not doing that book. So
can't tell you.
Doesn't even remember. Like, she probably doesn't remember, and that's totally
I don't think I do.
But
so
some seeds, like most people wouldn't even like pick it up. So
yeah. Okay. So tell us your favorite trope, my friend.
Okay. So I used to always say enemies to lovers, which I do like and have written too. But I really think it is friends to lovers for me because I write it a lot.
You do?
Like, I do write it a lot. And it's interesting. One of my critique partners, she said she doesn't normally like friends to lovers either, although she writes it a lot as well. And I was like, you told me you loved both of my books. And she's like, yeah, but the thing that you did differently that is my issue with friends to lovers is like the heroine is always like throwing herself at the guy. And I was like, yeah, Fiona did not do that. Like, and she's like, that's why I loved Fiona, because she was like, no.
Yeah.
And he was the one that was like,
let's push this a lot. He definitely was the force
Yeah,
in that
and
relationship.
she's like, this is a bad idea.
But in this book particularly, because you're like, I didn't think you would like it, Becky, because Friends to Lovers is my least favorite trope, as we
I know.
all know and listen. I liked this because part of my hang up with Friends to Lovers is if they're longtime friends to lovers and I just don't understand if there's never a moment where you desire them or an accidental kiss or a touch that means something, particularly if you're like longtime friends to lovers or best friends to lovers. Like, I get if you're both dating other people and timing never lines up, that can make sense. But I don't know, if you're attracted to somebody, just freaking go for it.
Well, I love the friends with benefits, like,
yes,
we're falling for each other thing. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And
Maybe this was the pop is sooner.
Well, I told you guys.
I
told you guys. I definitely told you a dark book club.
5%.
I was like, chapter 2.
I was reading it and I'm like, Leah, it pops at 5%. She's like, I told you. Why did you wait? I'm like, I don't know.
I had to do it because she had to get pregnant somehow. But then like they do take a long time to like get back together again. Like it is a little bit of time. I do that a lot. I tend like I think I did that with Score Heart too. Like there was a lot up front and then like they were kind of not talking to each other. So I think I do that a lot where I give it to you and then I'm like, oh no, you have to wait for the next one.
But in this situation, I think also what I liked about this is a lot of times with accidental pregnancy, the accidental pregnancy doesn't happen until like 50 or 60% into the book. Well, that's not the main trope then. That just is a happenstance of their instant connection or their one night stand or whatever. I think what I loved about this book for me is it was a unique spin on an accidental pregnancy. We don't often get the accidental pregnancy right in the very beginning of the story. Those are a little fewer and far between. And so, you know, the fact that we get this so early and now it's a matter of them figuring out boundaries, accepting that they do love each other, and also that, you know, it's okay to move from your past and go forward. Because, you know, Mr. Nolan man had some hangups.
Yeah.
But like you had said, or I mean, they're older too. I think that plays a role in it. Like they get accidentally pregnant and they were both like, I mean, this is like the direction that I eventually wanted to go. So awesome. You know what I mean? Where like when you're young, I think it's a different situation.
And I'm definitely going to write another one, even though I said I wasn't going to, because it's really hard to write because you have to like, oh my God, like Facebook thinks I'm pregnant still. Like, or I keep getting like adoption things and like infertility things now because I never use incognito because I'm dumb. But like you have like I would go on like the baby chart to like make sure I had like everything right, like the timing, like that was the hardest. So I know I'm planning on writing like a spin-off series with like a family. I haven't written any of them yet, but I mood boarded them and I know like what all the tropes are going to be. And I know the first one's going to be accidental pregnancy again. And I literally was like, okay, I'm printing out like the whole fucking timeline because I need to like,
I can't
that's like
do
the
this
hardest thing. It's like, because I was like, okay, so it's like conception here and then like the book like this starts here like so that's like the hardest, like it's really hard. And I was like,
other authors have said that though, like I've heard recently more and more authors have been talking about like baby timing or whatever in their book,
baby math,
and they're like trying to figure out like when do I get this person like knocked up and what, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I never really thought of that.
Yeah, and like I even like wrote for Christmas, I'm putting a newsletter up that is something for Fiona and Riley that is never been published. It's just like a short Christmas thing that I wrote from them. And I had to deal like with like figuring out like when is this? And like, is this happen? Like, I didn't want to give things away that I know that like the readers haven't read yet. Like, so that's like something too, when I'm like, oh, well, I know what happens in book 6, but like my beta readers don't even know that yet. So it's
We
like
do not know
that could be
this.
a challenge.
Well, the
too.
other thing I thought of with your book is like, as a teacher, so I'm a high school teacher myself, and when I got pregnant, I was very purposeful about like when we wanted to have a baby, because I did not want to have to return, dealing with trimesters. And I was like, she's like having the baby at the worst possible time for a teacher to have a baby. You know how many sub plans and all the things she's going to have to do? That would suck. But that's the way babies come when babies come. That's the rule.
It's the worst timing. Susie said she really likes an older character. They're more interesting. And I do think that these two were very interesting because of their age. But the other piece that I love too is that, hi Leah, Nolan was real bodied, like sexy big guy, and not afraid to complain about being old and a big bushy beard. He's a book boyfriend. So seriously, if you guys are looking for your next book boyfriend, this book, if you haven't read it yet, guys, totally check it out. But Nolan's awesome. Mine. I claimed it. Although Leah claims him too, so whatever, Leah.
One of my critique partners has like already claimed him too, so like as soon as I talked about writing the book, she was like, mine. And I was like, you haven't even read it.
I think one of the things that you did too in the book was when you talked about love languages, like I was picking up on that before you did that, but then all the things that Nolan was doing, because he can't express himself in words. He's like a terrible. But all the sweet things that he was doing, she wasn't picking up on that. And I was like, hello.
Like, don't you get it, lady?
She did not. And that's why Gemma had to be like, listen.
I do love her, and we'll get to that in a minute. But okay, let's talk about the setting of this book. Drakesville. Is this a real place?
Technically, but not really.
Okay.
So the town is a fake name, because I wanted to use a fake name, but it's really hard to find a name that doesn't exist in Pennsylvania. So there was like a novella, like I think it was like a Valentine's like novella, like multi-author series, like maybe last year, and it was set in Virginville, Pennsylvania. And I was like, you guys know that's a real town, right? And they're like, yeah, we know. And I was like, okay, because like we also have bird in hand and intercourse, so you could have used that too.
Yeah.
They sell t-shirts that say I love intercourse in Intercourse, PA. It's ridiculous, and it makes me laugh so hard.
Every time we drive on 80 headed east and you see Intercourse like for the exit off of 80, I just giggle.
I'm so like, funny. I mean, they lean into it. Like, it's great.
So funny. So Gretchen asked, is it a holiday book or just a winter romance? Does it pass the Die Hard test? It's a winter romance. I mean, Thanksgiving and Christmas do have a part in it. But it's not like holiday focused.
Yeah,
right?
kind of. Like, I don't know. I've been promoting it as a Christmas book. I mean, Christmas is in it, but
it has Christmas in it, and it plays a big part, I guess. So yeah, I guess it is a Christmas romance, Gretchen. Now that I've talked myself into it.
I mean, you're the reader. You can think however you want.
I don't know, the whole story, the whole setting. I loved it, and I love the cast of characters. I have some big feels about the brother, and Gemma, and really, actually, I was dying when Gemma just kind of moves into her place. She's just like, I didn't talk to anybody. I just moved in.
That's Gemma.
Okay, sister.
She's exhausting. Like, I wrote her book, and I'm like, this lady, like I'm not outdoorsy and she's very outdoorsy. And I was like, this is tiring. I had to like Google how to fish and stuff like for her book. Like I was like, I don't know how to fish.
Girl, you are gonna come up to Minnesota and I am gonna show you how to do like
Outdoorsy things.
I mean,
Yeah,
I'm like an
she's
indoor girl, so
she's
if I can teach you how to do outdoor things.
God, I'm like Avery. I just want a different room to like read a book. Like, but yeah, Gemma is like a little eccentric and like just
Oh my God.
She's very extra and how like, yeah, and how she like just dropped off the face of the earth that one day. Like I feel like that's gonna come back. Like I feel like that has to come back at some point. And I look at your
maybe. I don't remember.
Okay. Okay, here's Danica's link to Amazon. It does help authors when they get followers on Amazon. I also in the chat put Danica's BookBub. That helps her get mentioned in BookBub newsletters and all that kind of good stuff. So make sure you follow your favorite authors on BookBub and Amazon. So let's talk about the brewery and the beer that inspired the story. So what, Heather?
My 14-year-old just walked in the house and opened his AirPod case and my computer connected to the AirPods.
Oh. Okay. That's great. Kids are awesome, aren't they?
Have teenagers. It's so fun, everyone.
Okay, so let's talk brewery and beer. So we talked a little bit about the brewery that inspired the book, but there was actually a beer that they produced that you really liked. Right? Like the pumpkin one?
Yes, I love their pumpkin one. Their pumpkin one and Trope's Master of Pumpkins are like my favorite pumpkin beers, which is also a Pennsylvania brewery. They have, it's called Punkless Dunkel, and it's just like a pumpkin ale. It's an 8% though, so it like knocks me back when I drink it. But yeah, I really do like that one. They have a Hefeweizen that I really love, because I like a Hefeweizen. But I think they actually changed the name. It used to be called like Highwater Hefeweizen, but now I think it's just called Wayward Wheat. And that's like a difference between the difference of an American wheat and like a traditional Hefeweizen. So I think maybe that's why they changed it. And that's
Did you do lots of beer research? Did you do lots of beer research?
Like not that much. I don't feel like I did.
But
that
you're
much.
a big craft brewery drinker.
Yeah.
Like you like craft beer, period.
Yeah.
So that kind of, I'm sure that helped. Gretchen would like to do a beer exchange. Make it through the mail. Laws are tricky, Gretchen. I don't know if we can mail beer.
We did that at work where we would do a swap. But I would always get like IPAs because that's all they drink. And I don't like IPAs.
I don't like IPAs either. I like to go, we have a local grocery that you have like singles and you can build your own 6-pack. I like to do that.
Yeah. I do that a lot. We have like, well, I live kind of far away now, but like there was a Wegmans and they do that a lot. And it's just like a flat rate and you can get whatever. So that's like nice when you're like, oh, I've never heard of this beer. Like, let me try it. Because sometimes, and this is what bugs me, we went to a brewery around Thanksgiving and they have a white ale. I drank it and I was like, this is not white ale. I'm like, this is hoppy. It's a white ale. It should not be hoppy, which means you messed it up. Because that's why so many breweries do IPAs, because it's not, if you mess up a beer, you just, it's an IPA. Like,
right.
So I was like really annoyed.
We can do a buzzing beer show and tell, says Gretchen.
Okay.
Gretchen, your ideas.
She has so many.
She does. She really does.
The hardest thing, like, is naming the beers, I think is the hardest thing. So I actually tweeted about like how hard it is, and like because you come up with a good name and you're like, oh, it's already like taken. So I tweeted about that, and Olivia got into my DMs and like we started brainstorming. So that was like really helpful, because the holiday beer, I wanted it to be called Hoppy Holidays. Yeah, that's a really good name because someone already named it that. So I was like, holiday hops. I don't think anyone has it. But then my critique partner, Kat Obi, was like, well, like there's a lot of breweries that have like the same like name, and it really only becomes a problem with like when they cross state lines, blah blah blah. And I'm like, Kat, nobody cares about that in my book. like, but like I basically, my acknowledgements was like, I tried, and if these are real beers, I'm sorry, like, because I tried. I tried to do like as much like research, and that's kind of why like some breweries have like weird names, because like to get around from that, like Evil Genius out of Northern Liberties, they have like weird names. Like they have one that's called Mala Meatloaf and I Love Lamp. Like they're very weird. So you're like, oh, you remember them, and like there's less of a chance that like someone's gonna also have that.
So there's a local brewery here, and they are like a brew pub, and they actually grow part of their own, like some of their food. One of their beers is called Blame It on the Blaine, because it's in the city of Blaine. So they use like song lyrics.
That's so funny. Our local craft brewery place that we love so much, like we inspired them to do a glitter beer, because I think you guys have already heard the story of how I tried to kill Mike with edible glitter. Do you guys know this?
I don't know if I have.
You haven't heard this story? So I picked up a beer that was brewed with Fruity Pebbles, and it was out of Maryland or Delaware. It was supposed to be donuts, and it was called like Sparkling Unicorn Beer or Unicorn Beer Farts or something. I don't know. But it had edible glitter in it. And I was so excited to see it. I was like, let's go get it. It was a kind of a miss-buy in our area. Like it shouldn't have been in my area. So we went, we drank it. A couple weeks later, Mike thinks he has a kidney stone. We go to the emergency room. He has diverticulitis, and it's from the edible glitter. Okay. So fast forward, we're telling our friends that own the local brewery about, like, I loved this beer. It had edible glitter. It made it all shimmery in the glass. It was beautiful. And they're like, oh, we could do. So at Christmas time, they have Sugar Plum Fairy, and it has edible glitter in it. And it makes me happy.
But Mike abstains, right? So it doesn't.
Yeah.
That's so weird.
Nice.
Yeah. Don't eat edible glitter if you are, old. Okay, so I had to bring it up, but you wrote a trope I never thought you would write. And it was so very well done. Both characters really embraced the accidental pregnancy. Like she was like, yep, this is where I am. This is where I wanted to be. I'm okay with this. And if you don't want to be in this, it's okay. And he was like, no, I want this. But was it hard for you to keep your voice out of it? Because we know that, for you, marriage and children are not necessarily in your future. It's not something that's in your 3-year trajectory. So was it hard to keep your...
No, it wasn't, because like, I guess you get my opinion from Gemma. And that's just what they told me they wanted. And like, I just wrote their story.
Yeah. You did a great job though. Like, I mean, being pregnant, like the being sick, the hormones, the sex drive, like all those things, like were right on the money. I was like, did she follow me around when I was pregnant, or the psychoness?
I just tried to do as like much research as I could for it. And my editor said she was like crying laughing when she's like crying over the freaking like hand mixer.
Oh, yeah.
And she was like, this is totally something I would have done when I was pregnant. And I'm like,
good, real feelings.
For sure.
Those ridiculous feelings. And you did a really great job. You threw a twist in on us a little bit though, sister, with the principal, but I'm not talking about it.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to spoil anything, but that happened and I had a WTF moment. I texted Leah. I'm like, you did not prepare me for this. And she's like, oh, yeah, that happened. You're so funny. Anyway, yeah, like this book is so good, you guys. I'm telling you right now, totally. If you haven't picked it up yet, pick it up. The e-copy is for sale for $2.99 till tomorrow, and then it goes to $3.99 on Saturday.
No. I just did it to like get people to start buying it. I'll submit the price increase on Monday, but it might stick for a little bit on the one site that
we'll grab it for its the one evil site that Becky mostly uses.
Yeah.
Grab it for $2.99 from the evil overlord. It'll be fine.
I mean it's only going to go up to $3.99, so it's not a huge jump. But what I try to do for my pre-orders is I do them for $2.99 for the first week of the release, and then the next week I'll push it to $3.99.
Yeah.
So incentivizes you to pre-order, you get a little bit cheaper. And
the cover is beautiful. So buy the paperback, guys, because that cover.
I almost thought I wasn't gonna have the paperback done. And then like I kept going back to my designer because like the spine wasn't like where I wanted to be. So that's why I like wasn't sure if I was gonna have any actual copies. But my one print vendor, I now have like 15 copies because I just kept ordering stuff.
Leah loves the matte cover. I do like a matte cover. I am slowly starting to prefer matte cover to the shiny covers.
Yeah, my other ones are matte too, and I didn't have a particular reason for why I did that. I don't know. Someone must have told me to do that. I don't know. But like, so I did the other two in matte, and so like obviously I can't do the rest of that series in glossy. It would look weird. I would have to redo the other ones. And it can change your paperback size too. So it's like a whole mess to do that. So I was like, well, I was like debating for this one, and I was like, I think I'll just do it matte because I'm doing the other ones in matte anyway, and just like I'll just stick with what I know.
That's fair. That is fair. Okay, so I loved Avery. I just, she was so great. And, you know, her complex relationship with her dad and, you know, her sister, who's just like a little bit crazy.
She's really flighty.
She's like, seriously, I wanted to give her some ADHD meds. I was like, sister is unmedicated ADHD.
So I wrote Gemma's book already, and it's in the summer, and like it's mostly set in the Poconos. Actually, it's like not a lot of it is set in Drakesville. That's why I had to look up how to fish.
But is it going to be the brother?
No,
I didn't think so.
No.
Someone said no, her love interest is the brother. I'm like, no, I don't think it is.
No, I definitely put a seed for his book in this.
I must have missed the seed. Look at me.
I think I caught the seed.
I think you did.
But I'm not going to give it away.
So Gemma's next.
Book,
not the brother?
No. Declan will be the last book. He was a surprise. He was supposed to be one way, and then he argued with me, and I'm like, fine.
I can see him being argumentative though. So Gemma's book is set in the summer.
Yeah, it's set in the summer, and she's just like, there's a scene where like they're sitting on like the beach lake, and like her friends are like, just go do whatever you want to do right now because you cannot sit still.
Yeah. She's totally like the dog Doug. Like, oh, hey, this is so pretty. Oh, look, squirrel. Squirrel. Yeah, squirrel.
She's a little bit flighty. And that's just like kind of her nature. I feel like, I don't know if Avery says it in this book or it's just kind of implied, but Avery's like, she's basically feral.
Leah just asked, is Gemma Becky? No, Leah, I'm not feral. I make lists. I'm organized. I do get off subject.
Also, Becky doesn't love the outdoors that much.
Yeah.
Except
if there's a patio with alcohol, Becky's in.
I do know how to fish. I can even hook the worms and take the fish off. And I can fillet a fish and like take the scales off.
Wow.
While I hate the outdoors and bugs are gross, I can be an outdoorsy girl. I just don't like to sweat. Thus the reason my ass is as big as it is.
Yeah, my editor was like wanting Gemma and Declan to like get together like as she was reading through it, and I was like, ew, no. Like,
they kind of had that
pretty
love
much family.
hate.
That's kind of gross.
But they had that like love hate, and I can see where it is sisterly or brotherly. let's talk about Avery's dad a little bit. Because I really wanted to punch him a couple of times.
Okay.
You didn't find him to be a little, like, distant? And, like, disconnected from her?
I think for me, maybe Danica, this isn't how you wanted it to be perceived, but I think that Avery was always kind of looking for approval, and her dad took a step back because he wanted her to, like, trust her own instincts and make her own decisions because she's, like, an adult.
A grown-up.
Yeah, and she, like, isn't irresponsible, like
Gemma.
Am I wrong, Danica?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I think he just, like, it is, like, because she's older, so, like, she is an adult.
Yeah. But, I mean, just, like, I think about, like, that Thanksgiving scene where he just kind of allows her and the aunt to cook and continue to push, and, you know, and he just kind of sits back and lets everything happen. And I don't know. He bugged me a little bit, but it's okay.
Okay, that's fair.
Apparently, it was just me. Leah wants to see video proof of what? Me being outdoorsy? Okay, Leah. I'll go fishing, but it's like, you know, negative 27 degrees right now. It's not really, people, but okay. Challenges of writing Declan, who is a thick guy.
You mean Nolan?
Nolan. Oh my God.
Yeah, is
I wrote,
Declan going to be thick too?
Why didn't you fix that in my notes, Nolan?
Because I probably glossed over.
But just because now I'm curious, is Declan a bigger dude too, or is he?
No, he's not. And he made a comment in the one chapter, like, after they found out about the pregnancy, and Nolan, like, goes to his apartment and he's like, "Get out of my face." Like, it's early. He made a comment about how, like, chicks always, like, say he's too bony, so he's more, like, lanky. And I think Felix is also kind of, I describe him as being, like, lanky, so not they're a little, like, this series, it's, like, a little bit different than my hockey series, so I was allowed to do different things, because with my hockey series, like, a lot of those guys are, like, really fit, like, really, like, the male fantasy type of thing, and I wanted this one to be more like, I guess, like, real people, and, like, more like blue collar, like, just like an average person. So that's kind of why I wrote him that way, and I felt like it was more realistic, because if a lot of, like, people that are brewmasters are how Nolan is described, so I kind of just wanted to be more realistic to that world, and being able to do something different from my hockey series in that way, to be able to just showcase different body types, and we don't see a lot of it in romance.
We don't.
We see a lot with women, but not so much men. There's a couple. I know I was, like, always looking for comps because I wanted to read more. Like, I want to be really careful about the language I use, and, like, make sure there's, like, not fat shaming language. Like, that was difficult because I wanted to make sure I did not do that. And so I read as many as I could, but there would be some where they would just describe him as being big. And I'm like, well, I described Riley as being big, so, like, that doesn't mean anything. So, like, that was hard to find ones that, like, had really good descriptions of, like, how, and not be, like, too vague, or they would just describe him as big, and then, like, later they would say he had a beer belly or something, and I'm like, but that's, like, when you introduce him, that's not how I pictured him. And then I got to that scene, like, 4 chapters later, so it's a little, I think it is challenging for sure.
Like, I don't like when people just say he has a dad bod. Like, I don't know, I don't love that, but, like, to me, Nolan, I felt like he would be, like, solid. Like, if you look at a guy, you know, like, he's not heavy, but he is, like, a brick wall. Like, he's solid. You're not going to get through him, kind of, right? Like, he doesn't look terrible with the shirt off, but he doesn't look terrible with his shirt on either. Like, you know what I mean?
Well, and I like that, you know, you described him as being barrel chested. Like, that helped me 100%. I knew exactly who this guy was. And his, you know, talks about his thick thighs. Like, I liked that. That made sense to me. I understood who this man was. And that's the kind of guy I like. So, I mean, he worked for me. Anyway, also, we have to talk about the bearded guy obsession and your cover model that you stalk for all the beards.
Stalk him. He's just like this weird, he's like this stock model from like Russia. Like his photos are probably really old. Like
You don't stalk him? Like, you don't look at other authors that happen to use him on their cover and you'd be like,
well, like, so another author has used him, and like her name is Declan, and she'll always comment on my stuff to be like, that's Declan on your cover, and I'm like, no, this is Nolan. Declan doesn't have a beard. And like, I'm just like, you don't own the photo. No, like this guy's on a lot of covers. Like
he's really cute though. He's really cute. I like him.
And a lot of us that use stock, we all use the same photos for a reason, because they're good, they're eye-catching, and they work for photos. So for like our covers. So like we all use the same photos, like especially if you're using stock, you'll see the same guy like over and over. I laughed really hard when my friend from work like asked me like, what do you do if like someone else uses your cover? And I just like laughed in his face. I was like, yeah, that happens. It's stock. Like
it's every day.
Unless you're getting exclusive photos, which can be really expensive, especially if you're a newer author, like it just is what it is.
I've told you how we can solve this. We can go down to the local college campus with a photographer, find some campus boys, and take some pictures. I'm pretty sure they'll do just they'll pretty much do anything for a beer, Danica. We'll get some disclosure. Like
I feel like that's a little
we will get paperwork for them to sign. It's not predatory. We're gonna get them to sign a release. And we're not gonna be like, although I have seen the TikTok where the lady's job is to rub the baby oil on the chest. And I'm just saying, that's not a terrible career choice. I mean,
do you think it has health insurance?
I don't know. I'll look into that for you this week. And Heather, in the chat, I'm going to put the Bookcase and Coffee Patreon link. I think everybody here is part of our Patreon, but if you are not and are interested in joining us, please feel free to check us out. We have Drunk Book Club once a month. We also have Book Festivus coming up on December 23rd, where I will allow you to air all your grievances. You cannot bash books or authors, but you can air your grievances one time a year. One time we can air all our grievances. April goals when Danica comes to the signing. Oh, that's Leah. If you're doing a signing in Pittsburgh in April, and Leah wants to take you to the campuses and help you take pictures.
Okay. I'm sure my partner, who is going to be my assistant, will really love that.
Oh, we'll let him rub the oil. We'll give him a job.
He can carry bags, right?
We'll ply him with beer. We could just sit him and Mike like at a brewery, and the three of us can go. Right? Anyway, okay. If you haven't clicked and subscribe to the YouTube channel, make sure you guys do that. We'll be back on January 3rd, which is a Monday night, with Julie Salmon and her latest release, Dr. Mistake. Okay, I have some random questions. Look, I bought conversation questions from Target the other day, and these are random. Okay? When you walk into a room, do you prefer to be noticed or fly under the radar?
Under the radar.
Heather?
Fly under the radar.
I think I like to be noticed. I mean, does that shock anybody? Does that shock anybody? Nope. Okay, what song immediately makes you happy when you hear it? Okay, I'll give you mine. Let me see here. Probably, and this is going to be so weird, but any Rage Against the Machine song. I'm a child of the 90s, and I actually saw them in the early 90s. They did a campus tour of college campuses, and I saw them at Ohio State before they were actually, like, anybody. And I love Rage. I hear their songs and I know all the words still. I also know all the words to Informer by Snow. So, but last week I couldn't remember my kid's name. Just saying. Do you have a song that immediately makes you happy when you hear it?
Sweater Weather by The Neighborhood.
Okay. I don't think I've heard that one.
Me neither.
Have to check that out.
I am a closet like Justin Bieber fan. So I love like Baby or any like New Kids on the Block because I am also.
I like them too. Actually, Miley Cyrus's Party in the USA.
Yes,
I know.
I do like that one too.
And I throw my hands up no matter where I am. It can be in the Walmart because it came over the Muzak.
I definitely have that on a playlist and it makes sense for that book.
It makes sense.
Was it Last Friday Night by Katy Perry, I think, where it was like, you know, we went dancing on the bar or whatever. Like, I think that song, I like that one too.
You like that one too? Pop songs are like that. Under the Radar Girl, Don't Wear Red Lipstick, I Call BS. Oh, Tanya is saying you're wearing red lipstick. So that's to be noticed. It's plum, Tanya. It's plum. Susie says any Beatles song instantly makes her happy. So when my kids went to traditional school, I used to play the Good Morning song from Singing in the Rain. Like I would use the Amazon Echoes to play everywhere, and I would play that. Or they had a TV in their bedroom, and I would cast it from YouTube. And that, or Here Comes the Sun by the Beatles. I would use that music. I would make their volume really loud and use that to wake everybody up.
I sing the Sid the Science Kid song. Maybe no one else here is a fan, but he has a song. He's like, I love my mom. My mom is cool. I always sing that to my kids and they're like, oh my God, I'm going to kill you. And I'm like, basically why I'm on earth is to embarrass you.
That's so funny. Okay, Danica, what are you afraid of at 3 a.m.? I'm afraid I'm not going to finish this book and I'm going to fall asleep before I'm done. That's what I'm afraid of at 3 a.m.
Not being able to go back to sleep.
Heather, you've been up what, every day at like 4 a.m. this week?
I've been getting up at 4:30 and training, and it's crazy, whatever. Usually if I'm up, that means a kid is up. And if a kid is up that early or late, it's not good.
Olivia says gritty, my fear, at 3 a.m.
That would be gross. I'm with you, Olivia.
When have you thought you were just being paranoid and found out you weren't? Were you ever paranoid about something and then justified in your paranoia? Danica's like, stop asking me deep questions. Asking.
Like, I have anxieties, so like everything is scary. So like, this is not. I don't know how to answer this.
My big thing is that you guys are all on Eastern time and I'm on Central time. Like, I feel like this is self-centered, I get. I think since it's Central time, like the world should operate on Central time, like doing the math around the time zone. So like we're supposed to post about this time, or then this was supposed to start at 8. And I'm like, is it my time 8 or your time 8 or like
I double checked like I got a shower at like 8 and I was like, oh, it's definitely 8 Central, right? Like I had to double check.
I do everything in Central Standard Time. Previous people couldn't tell the difference of time zones. So Heather, it's actually, I do it in Central Time. So we really do revolve around the Central time.
Good.
It is for you. Okay, last question. What is the craziest thing you have done today? Did you do anything crazy today?
No.
I mean,
I just went to work.
I put pants on. Is that crazy?
I did have to wear pants today, like hard
Only
pants.
soft pants. I only wear soft pants today.
Well, I had to go to the office, So
Just so you know, Danica, in your honor in our house, we now call them soft pants and hard pants.
this was not like a me thing. This is something I saw on Twitter. So like it was
But you brought it into our little circle and you were like, I call them hard pants. And I was like, that makes sense.
Right? Like I didn't think about it. Yeah. Even though my hard pants are really not that hard. They're not jeans. So.
I call them hard pants too. I'm like, if I have to wear jeans, I'm like, these are hard pants. Like, there's a reason I have 15 pair of black leggings.
Yeah. We call them soft pants and hard pants now. My daughter will be like, girl child will be like, I'm going to put on some, I'm putting on soft pants today. Okay, have a great time. Enjoy
like,
that.
When I get home, my partner, he'll be like, if we like make dinner, he'd be like, why didn't you put comfy pants on yet? Like, so I think that was also why I called that.
That's so funny. Okay, I'm putting Danica's Twitter, Facebook, and Pinterest and Instagram all in the chat. If you are not following her on social media, make sure you do so. She shares lots of inspiration for her books and then complains about the Philly Flyers. So let's talk about your Philly hockey team for a minute, because you actually started a YouTube channel to talk hockey with other romance authors.
Yeah.
So I'm also going to put that in there.
Know how I got invited to that.
It's so awesome, though. I watched the first episode. I think you have 3 up, 2?
We have 2. We have one coming up on the 19th. And I think Fortune has like said what the subject is, but I think we were like, oh, we didn't read the book yet. So I think we're changing. Like, we were going to talk about this book, this nonfiction book about like the like negative impacts of like hockey culture, and we're like, maybe we should do something different for it's around the holidays, because the last ones were like pretty heavy on like stuff that was happening in hockey. The second one, we couldn't not talk about the Chicago Blackhawks stuff, but we kind of didn't really talk about the sexual assault stuff, but just like the aftermath of like all of that stuff. And then we talked about like expansion teams and like hockey romances that are in like non-traditional markets and stuff like that. So we are trying to like have it be hockey news, but also try to relate it to the fact that we all write hockey romance. So that's with I'm gonna butcher Stacy's name. It's Stacy Adhern, I think. I know I butchered that. Melanie Ting, Kelly Jamieson, and Fortune Wahan. So, which is really weird to do it with Kelly, because she's like my favorite hockey romance author. So it's kind of weird.
I love that for you, though. I love that you're making that connection with her. And you know what? She's just the kindest. We had her for Drunk Book Club, and I cannot say enough how amazing she was to talk to. We did a happy hour with her, and then we've had her for book club, and I could talk to her like every day of the week. So she is awesome. And Heather's got her new book that comes out January 4th. And she's like, I'm trying to be really good and not just read it really fast.
I think what I love about the YouTube, what you're doing with the Chippy Chicks, is that yes, we all love reading the hockey romance, but it's also just bringing hockey like more mainstream for women. Just as a side note, there are tons of Facebook groups out there that are really about like I'm in the Minnesota Wild group for women, and we talk about hockey, and we're not like, not that men would bash us, but of course there are some men, but like it's all ladies that are really excited about watching hockey. And I love that you're bringing in like true life topics about hockey to romance readers too.
Oh.
Yeah, it's because like all of us are hockey fans. And I know like Stacy and I might do like an episode where we talk about women's hockey, because I know like we're the two like women's hockey fans. So that should be like, I don't know, we'll probably do like an episode where we talk about it a little bit. So I definitely want to do that, because like I like women's hockey too. And now that they have a deal with ESPN Plus, which is really great. Even though they like rebranded their whole league when I had like a book that mentioned it. So I had to like make a decision about what I was gonna do. That's always fun when you write contemporary and things change and you're like,
damn it.
What do I do?
Damn it.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the one episode I watched. You guys actually spent some time talking about hockey players in suits, and I'm like, hello. I have zero hockey game knowledge, but I can tell you those men wear suits very well.
Yeah, we did that in the second one too. So I think that's gonna be like a recurring theme that we do. So we pick like a suit of the week. There's what
that does not make me sad, you guys. Suit of the week.
Sarah Siv, she is beat reporter for the Hurricanes, I think. She has a like list with the Athletic about like the best dressed. So it was kind of like pulling from that as well.
Nice.
There's a bunch that have some real unique style.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about your Philly Flyers, though.
No.
They've had a rough week.
Let's like not talk about it.
Let's not talk about it. We're moving past them. Okay, because I just want to say, though, like, this is not hockey related. They had dogs on the ice. First of all, why are we having dogs on the ice and didn't have the carpet?
Man.
That was just crazy town. But then the dog like pooped right in the middle of the Flyers emblem.
And I think that was the game that the next day our head coach got fired.
Yes.
So like it was like just basically was like, yeah, that's how our season has been going. It's been
some foreshadowing.
That was really terrible. Yeah, I'm pretty sure, unless that was the last game. I don't know, but the last game was terrible too.
Yeah. Okay.
They like fired our coach, and then like there was a game like that day, and
I think it was that game that the dog pooped. So he fired, and then the dog pooped.
And I was like on Twitter with Katie James. I don't know if you guys know her. She just had a release too this week. It's kind of hockey adjacent. He's retired. But she's also from the area, and she's like, but who's gonna like coach the game tonight? Because they were just like, oh, we fired AV and Therian, who like I was glad because we've been calling for his firing for a really long time. So like just one of the other assistant coaches in the interim. But Philly is always like, oh, we should get like, oh, Rick Tackett's on the list and he's an ex-Flyer, and we're like, can we just like stop recycling the same coaches? Like, can we just get someone different? Please.
Let's go with someone new. Try something new.
They just recycled the same like 10 white men.
Well, there's been a whole bunch of coaches that have been fired like in the last 2-3 weeks. Like the Blackhawks got rid of their coach. The Canucks fired their coach. The Phillies fired their coach. The Canucks then hired Bruce Boudreau, who used to be the Wild coach. Like there's a whole lot of changes in the NHL.
That's so funny. They're like, it's like the wild, wild west of athletics, honestly. Okay, so Chippy Chicks will have an episode coming on December the 19th. Make sure you subscribe to that YouTube channel. I linked it in the chat. I'm sure Danica has it linked on her social media also.
Yeah, I think it's on my where to find me list on my website, but I've posted it in places, so you should be able to find it.
And I think it's listed on our web posting that we have on our website for you. Okay, so if you guys are still here hanging out with us, go ahead and give us a hey, so we know you're here, so you have a chance to win a signed paperback of Accidentally in Love. And then I also have a box of goodies, including the like amazing beard bag. Okay, Danica, what is next?
So book 3 in the Bulldogs Against the Boards is coming in March, and that's like really the only thing firm I have. I have some things in the works, but I don't really have like firm dates.
That's okay.
So yeah, but that's
well,
coming.
And it would help. It would also help if her beta reader got off her butt and read a book.
Yeah, I didn't want to like nudge you.
No, you should have been nudging me and been like, Becky, get to this.
I was like, let me get through this release and then I'll like bug her about it.
Yeah, you should have been bugging me all along. It's funny because Danica said, are you going to read it? or not Danica, Leah was like, are you going to read it? I'm like, yes. Work has been crazy. I ended up changing projects at work, and I'm like, plus you don't want me to read it when I'm grouchy. And I read a really popular traditional published book that people are just raving about. I hated it. And it's romance adjacent. It's not romance. If you have to write a book 2 to follow up on their relationship to make me believe the HAA, that is not romance. Then book 1 is not romance. And they only had like 2 dates and 3 kisses, and she was declaring her love for him. Just because they have sex in a book does not make it romance, people. So, anyway.
Yeah, there's a lot of people on like Twitter that like keep telling romance authors that we're gatekeepers because we're like, it needs to have a HFN or an HEA. People are like, I'll take the HFN if that's all you're going to give me, but it really should have an HEA. And
I'm not even counting HFNs anymore. Happily for now, that is not romance. You can call it romance adjacent. Listen, I am not going to talk about the devil, but some of his crap is HFN, and he doesn't write romance. He says it.
Right. And like,
I hate him.
I hate the whole like gatekeeping thing because we're not trying to gatekeep you from romance. It's just if you market something in a certain way and then your readers have a genre expectation, and they read a book and they're like, what the heck is this? This is not what I wanted. You're going to get decimated in your reviews. And you're going to be like, why do people hate my book? Well, because you wanted romance money, but you didn't want to write romance. And like, I saw a comment where someone was like, do you expect there not to be the mystery to be solved in a mystery? And someone was like, I don't think that's the same thing. And they're like, yes, it is. It's a genre expectation. So like, oh, we argue about this on Twitter like every month something comes up. Someone's like the Twitter character of the day. Like, I just don't comment on it anymore because it's just like annoying.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's annoying. It's annoying. It makes me so angry. And everyone's like, oh, and this book is so spicy. It is a very nice, sexy scene, but it doesn't happen until like 82% into the book. It pops at 82. Stop telling me shit is spicy if it's not pop until 82. That is not spicy. You know what's spicy? 5%. Accidentally in Love pops at 5%. That is spicy.
I did tell you guys like up front, like when I was writing this, like because I did the pregnancy so early, so I had to write. Yeah. She had to get pregnant somehow.
And Susie, you're right. Duets do take 2 books, but you know that going in. The book I am referring to is a traditionally published book that was written as a standalone. And all of a sudden, because of the success of the first book being a standalone, we're getting the next book next summer. And in the blurb for it, it says, it's time for us to check in with the main couple and the gang. That's not romance. I don't need to check in with them. I should be, at the end of that book, I should have felt that their story was complete. Just like I felt like Nolan and Avery. Their story is done. They are truly in love. They are supposed to be together. They'll be together forever. This is what I'm saying. And yes, Leah, I was very grouchy about it. I have gone on and on about it. Aren't you glad I don't have your phone number, Danica?
I mean, like, you could blow up my Instagram or any other place you can get me to, so it doesn't matter.
Leah takes the brunt of all my grumpiness. I have been in a bit of a book funk, and, you want me to read things when I'm grumpy.
Right. Yeah, and I, like, have been I literally have, like, 4 different books that I've started and just, like, haven't finished. Like, I didn't come to the last book club because I just like couldn't finish the book in time, and like I was like, I didn't want to come, and like because I still want to read it.
We had Jiffy Kate. They were so much fun.
I know.
They were so fun.
They
stayed with us until 12:30 in the morning until I was finally like, I need to go to bed. They do not like to leave. And we shared all the book recs. Like, oh, and you missed Dirty Pictionary. So if you guys want to join our book club, send us an email. We'll give you all the details on how to join book club. I think Olivia is the only one here that isn't part of book club.
Probably, yeah.
But we're a lot of fun. Our book club's a lot of fun. Okay, Danica, I think I've got 5.
I have
people.
Susie, Tanya, Gretchen, Heather,
And Olivia.
and Olivia are still
Okay.
here.
Yep. And Leah can't win. So.
And Tanya's telling you that you're going on and on and on and on.
I know. Well, Tanya's been dealing with my going on and on and on for 30 plus years. So.
Okay. Who's going to
She's
win?
used to-
Who's winning?
Okay. Danica, give us a number between 1 and 5.
3.
3. So Olivia B, you won my swag-filled box with my beard zipper. Go ahead and send me an email at becky@bookcaseandcoffee.com and send me your address and I will get this box out to you. Okay, Danica, pick a number between 1 and 5, but that is not 3.
5.
5. Heather E, you won the signed paperback. So Heather, send me your email to becky@bookcaseandcoffee.com and I will forward that on to Miss Danica. Danica, congratulations on your amazing release. I'm so excited for you.
Yes.
It's
It
so
was
good.
so good. I loved it. It was so great. Loved it.
So, and, you know, I'm sure we'll talk to you again in the spring when we get against the boards.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. We appreciate you spending your Thursday evening with us. Until next time, everyone, happy reading.
Bye, guys.
Bye.